Welcome back to the What's Your One More podcast. Today, we've got an incredible guest with us here that I'm super excited to talk about. Today, we're going to take you into the sports world as well as corporate sponsorship world. It's going to be a fantastic conversation, and I'd like to welcome Jerrian Sanders, the owner of B3 Better Sports Performance. And if you don't know the place by the end of this show, you're absolutely going to, and probably going to be calling them up very soon. So welcome to the show, Jerrian.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, glad to have you here. Appreciate the swag you brought by today, too, man. Can't wait to put one of those shirts on. I know my son's been looking for one for quite some time.
Had to take care of you guys,
yeah,
definitely.
Man, absolutely. So, tell us a little bit, before we get started, tell us a little bit about your background. You have a pretty extensive sports background, and I think that's great for our audience to hear. And just take a couple minutes to tell us about that, a little bit about yourself.
So my background is actually in kinesiology. So that's what you go to school for if you want to go on to be a doctor or a physical therapist or anything in sports medicine. I graduated from Georgia Southern University in 2004. Ended up going to work for a national sports performance franchise called the Hit Center in 2004. When I got there, my intentions was to do my internship, get through the summer, and then go back and be a physical therapist. Mm-hmm. So I get there and I start working with these guys like Mike Peterson and Marcus Stroud and all these Jaguar greats, David Garrard, Rasheem Matthews, and I'm really starting to like this field, right? So the guy who owned the Hit Center, no, actually not the owner, but the lead trainer, mm-hmm. He knew the head strength and conditioning coach at Jacksonville University.
Okay.
So I ended up doing an internship with them as well that summer. So got into that side of it, started working with teams, and saw a little different side of it. He ended up introducing me to the head strength and conditioning coach for the Jaguars.
Okay.
So I ended up getting an internship with the Jaguars that summer as well. So going into the summer, I would be getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, going to Jacksonville University from 5 to like 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Wow.
Would drive right over to the Jaguar Stadium, work with them during summer training camp or what have you. From there, go to the Hit Center, work there from like 3 to 9, get home, read up on all the stuff I learned that day, get up and do it again. And before you know it, the summer had went by, and I was like, man, I might have gotten like 60 hours of sleep this whole summer.
Some long days.
And it was one of those things, though, where I found my passion just like that, because I'm not going to lie, when I graduated from college, I was kind of scared. I was like, do I really want to go into PT school? Do I really want to go to med school? But I'm going to come down here and try it out. And it was cool for me to come here because my parents are actually from Jacksonville. And I'm actually a military brat, so we lived everywhere growing up. So this was the first time I ever got to get grandma's home cooking every day and all that good stuff. So long story short, ended up staying here, working with that franchise for like 8 years. Mm-hmm. After those 8 years went by, we started our company. It was called Set Performance at the time.
Okay.
Sanders Elite Training Performance. Had a real good run with that. As the company started to grow and expand, it was one of those things where we were learning how to scale the company, and as it got bigger, people had to understand that I couldn't always be the one there training their kid. So one of the marketing strategies was to change the name, because if you say Sanders, Jerrian Sanders, mm-hmm. people always want to see Jerrian Sanders. So it was one of those things where we developed a system and got people to understand this is a system you're buying into, not one particular trainer.
Scalability, right? You had to make it where scalability. So I used to hear rumors about the Hit Center. I had a buddy of mine that trained over there. He's like, when you go to the Hit Center, they pull a trash can out, and they're like, hey, listen, you're going to use this a couple of times. Is that the case?
That used to happen a couple of times.
Yeah,
here and there.
He said, man, I had to go into the Hit Center. He said, my body just couldn't take any more of it. But he was rather young at the time, and he was a really big basketball player. But he said, man, they don't mess around over there, because you're going to lose two things when you go to the Hit Center. You're going to lose sweat and whatever's in your stomach. And that was the rule when you went over there. And it was like, oh, man, that's the real deal.
Yeah, exactly.
So, well, that's great. So, at B3 Better Sports Performance, you started that company, and you guys have been able to expand quite a bit now. Mm-hmm. And, you have an amazing facility off of Phillips Highway. And I think one of the first things I noticed when I walked in there was the amount of youth and the amount of young athletes that you guys are influencing. And you are such a positive environment for them, from all the coaches. And, I've coached myself for years, but good coaches recognize good coaches, mm-hmm. right? You just, it's how it is. And the amount of feedback that you guys are giving these young kids that are borderline almost young adults at this point, mm-hmm. and watching the level of inspiration that they're getting from that was one of the first things I gravitated towards. It was a completely positive environment, and that generation needs that right now, mm-hmm. especially with mm-hmm. social media. They're competing mentally against that. And watching what they're doing in there, whether it's Olympic weightlifting, speed and agility, general weight training, I mean, it was incredible. And it was packed. It was packed. And we had kids from, I could have swore they were maybe 6 years old,
about that
running
age.
around crazy in there, all the way up to 16. And, it was really great to see. And it's almost an indoor football facility when you walk in. And, you've got former athletes in there training current athletes. And it was something real special. And I thought to myself immediately, like, wow, like we are at the right place.
Definitely. Yeah, it's one of those things where we try to provide that environment. The athletes, they get to hear it from mom and dad every day, and then they go to their coaches every day. But we add a different element to it. And, we're the guys who they come to specialize in what they're trying to accomplish. Again, you work with your coaches on the skill side. Mom and dad's telling you to take out the trash and all that good stuff. But we come in as those coaches who teach you how to get that extra level of focus work. But not only that, when we bring these athletes in, we evaluate them and we customize programs based off of what they're looking at, and then we set goals and we track their progress. And one of the big things that we look at is, okay, these are my goals. Let's track my progress. Oh, I get stuck here. Where do I go from here? And I always tell parents, I don't think there's a better tool to teach kids life lessons than sports. And our side of it is, again, teaching them how to set goals, how to find metrics, and how to work towards those goals. And at the end of the day, everybody's not going to be a professional athlete. However, you're teaching your kid commitment and what commitment looks like, right? And whatever you decide to commit yourself to, these are the things you have to do to be able to get the most out of that experience.
Right. So right now we're talking about committing to the process.
Committing to the process,
right? And I think it's fair to say that this generation, maybe even my generation, I still see it, want the end result, but they forget or they don't recognize what has to be done in that process. Some call that mastery. So the definition of mastery is 10,000 hours of the same action over and over again to be considered a master of that.
Yeah, and it's funny you talk about the younger kids. 2 or 3 weeks ago, I actually went up to Boston, Massachusetts to surprise Mac Jones. And Mac actually was a kid we've had ever since he was 7 years old.
That's right.
And he is the pure definition of mastery of your art. I mean, this kid worked his butt off again ever since he was 7 years old. Gets to high school, doesn't play a lot as a freshman, had to play JV his sophomore year, gets into his junior and senior year and absolutely flourishes. Gets to Alabama, same thing happens, doesn't play his freshman year, doesn't play his sophomore year, comes in and plays his junior year, absolutely flourished. But never once along the line did he waver. Did he ever want to transfer? Did he ever want to, leave? His biggest thing was just continue to keep my head down and work as hard as I possibly could. And lo and behold, he gets to his rookie year of the NFL and makes it to the Pro Bowl. And I can't think of any other better, example than Mac putting in that work every single day, whether it was seeing a quarterback coach, whether it's him coming to work on his speed, his strength, his body. Like, there was a level of dedication that, again, you don't see. You don't see the hours that you put into that, but you see the end result.
You see that Sunday end result.
You see
you
that
want to be a
Sunday.
part of that national title at Alabama.
Exactly.
That's what you see, but you don't see the sacrifices mom and dad made to bring him in there. I think that's often overlooked too, because until that young person can drive, the burden is on the parents to commit it to the process and help with that mastery.
100%.
So you guys have an amazing facility. There's countless people on the wall that have come through that facility, which just kind of validates what you guys are doing. I mean, you got NFL greats, MLB greats. They stop what they're doing. They come over to the facility in the off season, and it's great. I really love how you guys blend the younger generation in while they're training there. And so it gives them something to look up to, and they're like, my son goes, "Dad, you won't believe who was in there today," and so it also validates to them that I'm at the right place.
In the right place.
And and if you guys tell them to do something, they're going to go do it, whether it's in the facility or at home. And it's just it's a great place to be.
Yeah,
So-
and that's something I think we not think, but I know that we do intentionally, because we do want the kids to be able to see, feel, and touch where they're trying to go to. And again,
Smart.
bringing in a guy like Mac, who I'm not even going to lie to you, I didn't see this happening. I didn't see him being a Pro Bowler his first year as an NFL player, but you just never know. And that's, again, the results of just keeping your head down, putting in that extra work, and just seeing where your journey's going to take you. And, again, having those athletes in the same building at the same time, it brings a whole nother level of confidence to those younger athletes as well. I was in the gym working out with DeMarcus Walker. I was in the gym, working out with Daniel Murphy, a professional baseball great. Like now when they step out on the field, I ran against Daniel. I saw DeMarcus like, this doesn't mean a whole lot to me. I can do this, type of thing. And
Right.
that's the other side of it. And that's really the biggest side of it. What does it do for the mental side of the athlete?
100%. And I think that there's another message inside that story that's worth discussing is loyalty. You see that a gentleman like, Mac Jones have to sit, remains loyal. He understands that's part of the process. Whereas today people are like, transfer portal, here we go,
Just
I'm
like
out.
that.
I want instant success. So that's a whole nother topic I think that you could go down and talk about for some time. But I want to get back to, let's talk a little bit about B3 Better Sports Performance. Inside of that, recently you guys have garnered some corporate sponsorships.
Yes, sir.
And I think that is a direct reflection of the impact you're having on the community. And I know our friends over at Bank of England Mortgage, they also stepped up, decided to help out. And I think when I look along the wall and I see the people that are aligned up there and talking about that, they see how this gives back to the community. And I think it gives back in a couple of different ways. I think one of the ways it gives back is we talked about athletes and financial awareness. And to your point, I know for a fact, how many D1 commits do you have in there right now?
A lot.
A lot. I mean, I saw one young man in there with offers from Florida, Ohio State, Georgia. I mean, he had them all, and he's a junior or a sophomore. He's a sophomore corner, right? He's a corner.
Receiver.
He's the receiver. Okay, I'll get it right here in a minute. Regardless, he's a great athlete, but he's going to go on, whether it's an NIL deal, he's going to go on, and he may have an NFL career. There's countless people like that there. So the financial awareness aspect is extremely important.
Huge.
Which is where I think, we have an opportunity as companies to give back and help with that. And I think we were just talking about before the show an ESPN special called Broke,
yeah. And that was one of the things that really inspired us to do what we do, especially with a company like Bank of England. Long story short, for those who haven't seen that episode of 30 for 30, there's a significant number of professional athletes that go broke after 3 or 4 years of retirement. I mean, somewhere in the 60% number.
That's incredible.
Incredible. And you're talking about guys who making life-changing money.
Millions.
Millions and millions of dollars. So we know that there are people in place to help them along the way. And as soon as they get there, they have rookie symposiums, and they try to financially, they try to give them financial literacy advice and things like that. But I think a lot of that stuff starts at a younger age. And for us, we were trying to find the gaps in that system, and we were like, let's get involved with a company like Bank of England who can be a part of the process with these kids when they're, in the 8th grade, 9th grade, or whatever the case may be. That's really like our big, that was our thought process in doing something like this. And we felt like, that kind of comes full circle if you can be involved at a grassroots level.
That's really interesting. It's one of the topics on the show that we're going to tackle in a future episode, though, is how to discuss financial topics that are really important to us as adults. But how do we get, at the start of high school, how do we get a freshman or a sophomore just to have a better grasp of some of these topics? Because if the parents don't understand it, they're not having that conversation with their children. And if the children aren't open-minded to hear it, you can't have that conversation regardless. So how do we make it to where those two worlds can connect? And that's something we're definitely exploring down the road here in further episodes, because we think there's a need for that. And we think that there's things that are not talked about at the high school collegiate level that we can bring to the forefront and make it very digestible and very easy. And it sounds like with the team you have over there, that financial awareness is critically as important as gaining speed, gaining agility. You said something to me a long time ago, and I don't know if you remember this, but you said, we're not here to make your son or anyone's child great at their position. We're here to build an athlete that will be great at anything they do. And I thought that really resonated with me at that time, because I thought, okay, great. They're actually trying to teach them about the process. We keep saying that word, but you're trying to teach them how to build a regimented schedule, how to adhere to it, accountability, things that aren't taught in the school all the time because it's so go 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 go. It's not because they don't want to. It's just lack of time. And a lot of this is put down on the kid as, hey, they're teenagers now, they need to be responsible, right? Well, we get that, right? But the reality is they're not right now.
So they don't understand the process of being responsible.
Exactly.
Right? It's you tell them they need to be more disciplined. You tell them they need to, again, be more responsible. But okay, what are the steps to being more responsible?
And it's like telling a salesperson, you need to do more sales. But if you don't show them how to do it, and spend time with them, their definition is going to be different than yours.
Exactly.
And that's what we're seeing. So I loved the fact that was a mission of yours there, and that you guys are really inspiring, those young men and women over there to be accountable, to build those schedules and have a regimented schedule and really think about what they're doing differently.
Definitely.
Before they take a sip of that Coca-Cola. Is this what I should be putting in my body right now?
Exactly.
I mean, when you see a 14-year-old ask themselves that question, man, you've really connected.
Yeah.
At that point.
Definitely.
Y'all have made a connection over there.
Definitely.
So
it sounds like Carter may be thinking twice about a Coke, huh?
Man, he hadn't had one in a year.
Really?
No, not in a year, man. You guys tell him to eat waffles with with almond butter on it, and he's done it. And I mean, it's crazy.
Okay.
Some of the requests that he's had at the grocery store. I'm like turning around, I'm like, dude, what are we doing? He's like, no, that's what they told me I got to do. So yeah, you guys are super impactful, and I think that there's a lot of great things coming out of your organization over there, and I'm proud to be a part of it, and super grateful to have you on the show today. And I think that our audience is, hopefully gets a chance to check you guys out and hear more about B3 Better Sports Performance over there, because you guys are changing the lives of the community. And I think that that's something that in today's world, that positivity, and that clarity is what we need compared to, currently what's out there on social media. If you may, it's a lot different message. So thank you.
No, thank you, man.
Absolutely.
Thank you a lot. It means a lot to have you guys be a part of what we have going on, man. And we look forward to, growing the relationship.
Same here. Absolutely. So for more information on B3 Better Sports Performance, you can go to their website.
Yep.
You want to tell all
that's
what it is?
www.b3better.com.
So that's www.b3better.com. Check them out. We'll also have a link below here in the video that you can click on and give them a shot over there. I think you're going to see some of the great things that they're doing, as well as some great results. So thank you again.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got one more shot, I'm gonna make it. One more chance, I'm gonna take it. I meant it when I said it, now it's time for me to do it. I got one life to live, so I put my all into it, yeah.